The Pacific was black that night, so black it seemed to swallow the stars. Far below the waves, deeper than any human diver could survive, a mass of alien metal slumbered like the corpse of a god. The wreck had been found by accident. A seismic research team out of Monterey Bay had been mapping the ocean floor when their sonar pinged back something massive, too symmetrical, too perfect to be natural. At first, they thought it was a Cold War relic. Maybe some lost submarine graveyard. But the dimensions didn't match anything in any Navy's history. When the government confirmed the find, the operation changed overnight. The site became locked under military jurisdiction. Research vessels were replaced by Navy destroyers. The world was told it was just another deep-sea mining survey. It was a lie, of course. Captain Marcus Hayes stood on the deck of the USS Denver, staring at the churning ocean under the floodlights. He was a big man, the kind who carried himself like a loaded gun. His uniform was soaked through with sea spray, but his eyes were sharp, locked on the dark water as though he could see the thing sleeping miles below. Beside him, Dr. Evelyn Cross adjusted her headset and tablet, her breath fogging in the cold night air. She was the civilian lead of the salvage operation and astrophysicist turned reluctant explorer of alien ruins. They said this was a derelict warship, she asked, almost in disbelief. That's what Intel says, Hayes replied, never looking away from the water. Whatever hit it, whatever made it sink, we still don't know. Evelyn swallowed. She'd read the files. The first satellite images of the wreck had shown something huge, nearly a kilometer long, scarred, twisted, but unmistakably manufactured. Not human-made. Not from Earth. And most disturbing of all, it was recent. Do you know what this means? Evelyn whispered. Hayes finally glanced at her. You tell me, document. It means they've been here. Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. Whoever they are, they fought a war, lost a ship, and never came back for it. That's not just a wreck. That's history. The floodlights swept across the deck as a crane hauled up the first fragment. It was a jagged piece of black alloy, shimmering wet with salt water. It didn't corrode like steel. It didn't look like any metal Evelyn had ever seen. And it hummed. Not audibly, its vibration was subsonic, deep enough that she felt it in her teeth before she even touched it. Jesus, she muttered, stepping closer. It's still active. Hayes didn't like that. You saying it's live ordnance? I'm saying, Evelyn said carefully, that this ship isn't dead. By the second week, the operation had brought up entire sections of hull. The thing was unimaginably huge, half a mile of twisted corridors, shattered weapons pods, and power cores still pulsing like dying hearts. Evelyn spent every night down in the temporary research lab the Navy had built on the deck. She was obsessed. This isn't just a ship, she told Hayes one night, wiping sweat from her forehead. This thing, it's self-repairing. I've been running scans on the metal, and it's regenerating, slowly, but it's knitting itself back together. Hayes frowned. You're telling me it's alive? Not alive, Evelyn said, shaking her head. But not dead either. Whatever technology built this, they didn't design their warships to stay broken. Hayes folded his arms, uneasy. Then what happens when it fixes itself? Before Evelyn could answer, alarms blared across the deck. They both bolted topside. Sailors were shouting, scrambling to their stations. The crane arm had snapped, dropping a massive fragment back into the ocean, only it didn't sink. The fragment was floating now. No rising. Slowly, impossibly, the entire section of ship they'd hauled up began to ascend, water streaming off its surface. Lights, cold, blue, alien lights, flickered to life along its hull. The ship was waking up. It took 5 minutes for the ocean to erupt. Miles of black water boiled as something vast moved beneath them. A shadow the size of a city block rose from the deep. A dozen massive spires broke the surface, glowing with alien energy. The sea churned as the warship pulled itself back together, its broken frame reassembling like shards of glass finding their shape. Sailors shouted. Guns were manned. Hayes barked orders, but none of it mattered. They were ants standing on the corpse of a god, and the god had just opened its eyes. The warship's hull loomed over the destroyers, dwarfing them. Then, as if sensing the humans watching, a single light glowed at its bow like an eye, scanning them. Evelyn felt her heart seize. "It's not hostile," she breathed. It's asking." "Asking what?" Hayes demanded. She didn't have an answer. And then, in a voice no human throat could produce, the ship spoke. Not aloud. Inside their minds. "Identify." Every sailor on deck froze. Hayes's jaw tightened. "This thing just talked?" Evelyn nodded slowly. "It wants to know who we are." The voice came again, colder, sharper. "Identify." Evelyn took a deep breath and stepped forward to the railing, staring at the glowing titan. We're human," she said aloud, as though it could hear her. "We're from Earth." There was a long pause. Then the light flared brighter, and the voice thundered through every mind on deck. "Enemy species not detected. Weapon control transfer pending." Hayes stared at her in shock. "What the hell does that mean?" Evelyn's breath caught. She turned to him, her expression caught somewhere between terror and awe. "It means," she said quietly, "it's choosing us." The warship hovered in the black Pacific, impossibly suspended above the waves, shedding seawater like rain. Every bolt, every broken strut they had dragged to the surface had somehow reassembled into place, as though the ocean itself had given birth to a leviathan. Captain Marcus Hayes could feel every man and woman on the USS Denver staring at him, waiting for orders, but his throat was dry. "Stand down weapons," he said finally, his voice cutting through the wind. "Nobody fires unless I say so." No one argued. The alien voice echoed again, this time less demanding, almost clinical. "Transfer of primary system control requires command input." Evelyn cross-gripped the railing, heart pounding. "Marcus, it wants someone to take command." Hayes frowned. "You think this is safe? We don't even know what this thing is capable of." "We know enough," Evelyn shot back. "Its weapons are operational. Its power core is running at nearly 80% capacity. Whatever fight sank this ship, it's already recovered. If we don't establish control now, we may lose the chance forever." Hayes stared at her for a long, tense moment. Then he nodded. "Do it." The research team worked frantically, setting up an interface station in the lab. Wires snaked from their equipment into the strange crystalline artifact they had retrieved from the ship, what they believed to be its bridge control core. Evelyn sat down before the device, her hands trembling. It wasn't a computer. There were no keys to press, no screen to look at. Instead, a lattice of alien symbols glowed faintly, waiting. "Captain," she said, glancing at Hayes, "if this works, we'll be tying ourselves directly to the ship's AI. It might change whoever links with it." "I'll take that risk," Hayes said firmly. "No," Evelyn said sharply. "You're the one keeping this operation together. If something goes wrong, you need to be clear-headed." She turned back to the device and touched it. The world fell away. Evelyn's mind was no longer on the ship's deck. She was standing in a vast, endless void of light. Before her floated a figure, tall, faceless, armored in the same black alloy as the ship's hull. Identity confirmed. Human. The voice was the same as before, but inside this space it was deafening, like standing next to a roaring storm. "Are you the ship?" Evelyn asked. "I am designation Calder 7, strategic war platform of the XIAR Dominion. Primary directive, seek and destroy hostile entity known as Vorax Swarm." Images flashed before her eyes, stars burning, fleets annihilated, titans like Calder 7 exchanging lances of energy across the void. Evelyn's breath caught. "You were fighting a war," she whispered. "Correct. Battle status, failure. Crew casualties, total. Ship captain, deceased. Transfer of command protocol activated." Evelyn swallowed hard. "Why choose us?" "Biosignature compatible. No hostile intent detected. You will command." And then, with a blinding surge of light, the bond locked into place. She came back to herself gasping, clutching the edge of the table. Hayes grabbed her shoulders. Cross. Talk to me, what happened? Her eyes glowed faintly blue. I can hear it, she whispered. The ship. It's inside my head. What's it saying? Evelyn turned toward the window. The colossal warship was no longer just a wreck to her, it was a living engine of war, waiting for orders. It's waiting, she said quietly. For me to tell it what to do. The first test came only hours later. A sonar operator shouted from the deck. Contact. Multiple readings inbound, fast. Hayes snapped to alert. Talk to me. Submersible craft unknown signature, closing from the west at 200 knots. Evelyn went pale. That's not human tech. That's them. As if to confirm it, the sky above split with streaks of light dropships, sleek and silver, knifing through the clouds toward the surface. Hayes grabbed the intercom. All hands to stations. This is not a drill. The alien voice thundered in Evelyn's skull. Identified, Vorik Salvage Force. Objective, destroy Calder 7. They're here to finish the job, she said, spinning toward Hayes. If we don't fight, they'll take the ship or sink it for good. Hayes hesitated for only a moment. Then he barked, Evelyn, whatever link you've got to this thing, wake it up. The ocean erupted. Calder 7 rose higher, towering above the destroyers, its hull glowing with bright alien energy. Plates of armor slid into place with a sound like a giant exhaling. Weapons pods unfolded along its flanks. Evelyn's mind filled with targeting data, weapons diagnostics, firing solutions. She had never trained for this, but somehow, she knew what every symbol meant. Marcus, she shouted. I have firing control. Hayes pointed at the incoming dropships. Then take the shot. The ship's main battery fired. The night turned white as a lance of pure energy cut through the sky, erasing 3 dropships in a single shot. The shockwave rocked the ocean for miles. Sailors on the USS Denver hooped and cheered, but Hayes wasn't celebrating yet. They'll keep coming. They won't get the chance, Evelyn said through gritted teeth. She sent the command, and Calder 7's secondary turrets opened fire. Bright spears of light stitched across the waves, tearing apart the alien subs before they could breach the surface. When the last contact blinked off the sonar, there was only the sound of the ocean and the ship's low, steady hum. Hayes turned to Evelyn, stunned. You just took out an entire strike force. Evelyn's breathing was ragged. No, Marcus. That wasn't a strike force. That was a scout wave. Hayes' stomach sank. Then what's coming next? Evelyn met his eyes. The war they lost. That night, Hayes convened his senior officers on the deck. The storm had passed, but everyone felt the weight of what had just happened. We're not just sitting on an alien warship anymore, Hayes said grimly. We're sitting on a target. If those things come back with a full fleet, Earth won't stand a chance unless we use this thing. Evelyn nodded. The ship can fight better than anything we have. But it's not at full power yet. It needs time to fully repair. How much time? Hayes asked. Days, maybe weeks, she said. But when it's ready. Marcus, this ship could wipe out anything they throw at us. This isn't just a weapon. This is a fortress. The deck was silent as the truth sank in. They weren't salvaging a relic anymore. They were about to go to war. The storm front rolled in 2 days later, black clouds crackling with lightning. But it wasn't just weather that made the Pacific feel heavy. Every satellite above Earth had confirmed it, an armada was coming. 37 alien ships, some larger than anything humanity had ever built, were decelerating toward Earth's orbit. And they weren't here to talk. Captain Marcus Hayes stood in the CIC aboard the USS Denver, his hands gripping the table. Around him, officers muttered status reports, but his eyes were fixed on the holographic feed showing the fleet approaching. They'll hit orbit in less than 12 hours, a lieutenant reported. Hayes nodded grimly. Get every asset in the region clear of the site. No one stays on the surface except this ship and its crew. Sir, that leaves us with nothing but the warship, Hayes finished. And that's all we need. Evelyn Cross stood on Calder 7's newly reformed bridge, its alien controls glowing faintly beneath her hands. The ship had changed since that first night. More armor had locked into place, more weapons had come online, and now its power core throbbed like a living heart. They're almost here, she said aloud, though she didn't need to. The ship already knew. Threat level, critical. Recommendation, engage in low orbit to prevent surface damage. Evelyn exhaled. Marcus, it wants to leave the water. Hayes stepped up beside her. Can it even fly? In answer, the ship rumbled beneath their feet. Plates shifted, massive thrusters rotated into position. Water poured from the hull in cascades as Calder 7 rose, not just from the ocean, but from the planet itself. It climbed into the sky on a pillar of blue light, leaving the Pacific boiling in its wake. The crew of the USS Denver watched, awestruck, as the alien warship rose higher and higher until it broke through the clouds, vanishing into the night sky like a black arrow shot toward the stars. The alien fleet was waiting. Evelyn felt them before she saw them, her link to the ship feeding her telemetry, tracking every vessel. The Vorak ships formed a perfect kill net around Earth, weapons warming up. Orders? The ship asked in her mind. Target their command ship, Evelyn said, her voice steady now. Send a warning shot first. Make them see what we can do. Calder 7's main gun charged, the glow so bright it turned the cockpit white. A single shot lanced across the void, missing the command ship by less than a kilometer, close enough to shear an entire frigate in half as collateral. Evelyn opened a wideband channel. This is Captain Evelyn Cross of Calder 7. Earth is under our protection. Stand down or be destroyed. For a long moment, there was silence. Then a guttural voice replied in a language Evelyn shouldn't have understood, but the ship translated for her instantly. Unclaimed vessel detected. Return it or Earth will burn. They're not going to stand down, Hayes said darkly. No, Evelyn agreed, eyes narrowing. Then we make them run. The first salvo came from the Vorak fleet, spears of plasma tearing through space toward them. Evelyn's mind moved faster than thought, and Calder 7 moved with her. The ship twisted, shields flaring, absorbing the blast. The hull barely rippled. Then they returned fire. The night side of Earth lit up as Calder 7 unleashed its full arsenal. Beams of energy sliced through destroyers, torpedoes ripped cruisers apart. Evelyn wasn't just commanding the ship, she was the ship. Every weapon felt like an extension of her body, every strike perfectly aimed. The Vorak formation broke. Hayes grinned viciously. You're turning them into scrap metal. But then the command ship moved. It was bigger than all the others combined, bristling with weapons. Its core began to glow, charging something massive. Superweapon detected, Calder 7 warned. Recommendation, full core discharge. Evelyn hesitated. What happens if we do that? Total system output, maximum. Casualty probability for enemy fleet, 96%. Hayes met her gaze. Do it. Evelyn closed her eyes and gave the order. Calder 7's hull flared so brightly it turned the night side of Earth into day. Its power core screamed as every ounce of energy was poured into a single shot. The beam erupted from its bow like a second sunrise. The Vorak command ship didn't stand a chance. It disintegrated, its death shockwave tearing through the rest of the fleet. One by one, the alien vessels winked out, destroyed or fleeing into the void. And then, silence. Evelyn slumped forward, gasping. The glow faded from her eyes. Status? Hayes asked sharply. She looked up, exhausted but smiling. They're gone. Hayes exhaled a laugh of pure relief. Then we just won humanity's first real space battle. They brought Calder 7 back into orbit and let it drift like a sleeping titan, its hull cooling, its guns silent. In the days that followed, the world learned what had happened. News broadcasts called it the day of the Skyfire. The alien fleet's destruction was seen by millions across the night sky. Fear turned into awe. Governments argued about what to do with the ship, who would control it, who would command it. But when Hayes stood before the UN Security Council, he told them the truth. "This ship chose us," he said. "It's not a weapon to be owned. It's a shield to protect Earth. And as long as we have it, no one alien or human will ever threaten this planet again." That night, Evelyn returned to the bridge. The ship's voice spoke softly in her mind. "Commander. Enemy retreated. New primary objective, defend Earth." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Then that's what we'll do." Calder 7's lights glowed brighter, as if in agreement. Far above the world it had nearly died on, the alien warship stood vigil, no longer just a relic of a forgotten war, but Earth's first and most powerful guardian. And somewhere, out in the black between the stars, the rest of the galaxy was taking notice.